Welcome everyone to another episode of the KayfabeKast. I'm your host.
We're being served by Dean Ambrose.
Dean Ambrose? Misconduct? Wait a second. Dean Ambrose is illiterate. He can't write. This is bullshit. And welcome to the KayfabeKast. The Beast Incarnate has been in question for a long time now. Now, if you're a UFC fan, you know that Jon Jones called Brock Lesnar out after his last fight. So there is a possibility that Brock Lesnar leaves the WWE right after his contract's over at WrestleMania. Now, I don't want to see the Beast go, but he's not been as great as he usually is, which kind of means that maybe his heart is just not into it anymore. Now, he's a champion that stays off of TV, so you can take the belt off of him and put it on Braun Strowman. I don't think at this point anyone's going to object if Braun Strowman is the new Universal Champion. The guy has put in the work and he kind of deserves it right now. I think SummerSlam is a good platform to give Braun Strowman that win. And if you don't want Brock Lesnar to look weak, you can always take the belt off of Brock Lesnar by not having him pinned. Maybe Braun Strowman could pin Samoa Joe. Now obviously if Brock Lesnar loses his belt, he has an official rematch clause. You can have that rematch at No Mercy, which Brock Lesnar is rumored to be at. But with some hocus pocus, you keep the belt still on Braun Strowman and then have Brock Lesnar move on to future matches or future feuds. Now right after No Mercy, Brock Lesnar needs to go away, completely hide, and not appear anywhere. And then, I want to see a Raw vs. SmackDown at Survivor Series again. I want a team of the 5 best Raw people, and in those 5, I want one of them to get injured because of whatever. Maybe SmackDown people got rid of him. In doing that, I want Brock Lesnar to return and substitute for that person. His surprise return and non-advertised return will make people back into Brock Lesnar. They'll be curious about him again, and they will kind of invest in him once more. Now, once that happens, you have Brock Lesnar, who has kind of redeemed himself, and then you can go and book Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for WrestleMania. By that point, people will be back on the Brock Lesnar train, but everyone will not resent him anymore, and that will kind of make some people cheer for him, because if he really is leaving for the UFC, then you know that people are gonna boo him. But if you add that uncertainty of is Brock staying, is he leaving, and not have everyone just hate him already, because that will give it away. If everyone's booing him, no one's gonna want him anyway, so what's the point of having him around? Then you book Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar could go over, and that would kind of make people think that, okay, Brock is here to stay, but then he could still leave. You don't have everyone booing Brock and Roman. But you could do the opposite as well and have Roman Reigns go over, and then people will probably boo Brock Lesnar, but at least the build-up was good. Well, it's never really good when you're dropped on your head, and John Cena took such a bump against Shinsuke Nakamura in their #1 contenders match at SmackDown. John Cena took that bump like a champ, no pun intended. And John Cena still finished that match after being dropped on the back of his head, pushed Shinsuke over. By God, John Cena, you the man. A lot of people love the Iron Man match between Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar on SmackDown. Brock Lesnar beats the hell out of Kurt Angle with a chair and gets disqualified, giving Kurt 1 point, but that just gives Brock the advantage going forward in his match. That match is one of the best Iron Man matches you will ever see, and for sure, it has to be a top 10, a top 3 for most people. A lot of people don't remember this match. It was Survivor Series 2002, Los Guerreros versus Edge and Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. This match was so thrilling, so incredible. What a phenomenal match. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it on the WWE network. That's what the network's there for. I'm not going to give anything away, but it is one hell of a match. My #1, Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels. What a fucking classic. If you haven't watched that match, you are missing out on some incredible wrestling. Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels told an incredible story in the weeks building up. Their rivalry started at the Royal Rumble, and they had to build that for 3 months, and they had their final match at, well, the combination of their entire feud was at WrestleMania, and what a story and what a match. It was, oh my god, you need to watch that. If you haven't already, you know, if you have watched it already, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, go watch it and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Jason Jordan survives the wrath of 3 different men by taking out the Miztourage. He is at number 10. Even though he did it with the help of Enzo Amore, Big Show stood tall at the end of Raw against Big Cass. His first big win over Sami Zayn, Aiden English, picks up a victory on SmackDown this past week. Naomi and Becky Lynch, whoa, that was really impressive, girls. They pick up a good win for number 7. A hokey finish, but AJ Styles retains his championship. He is at number 6. The Bulgarian Brute put on a clinic with Chad Gable. He is at number 5. Speaking of troopers, Bayley, with a broken freaking shoulder, still finished over half the match with that injury. She is at number 4. The Hardy Boys take out the Club and the Revival to stand tall at Raw are at number 3. The Big Dog pulls off a big win over 2 of his biggest rivals on Raw. He is at number 2. And the man from Japan, Shinsuke Nakamura, picks up a huge win over John Cena to become the number 1 contender. Obviously, he is number 1. Now, Brock Lesnar made a triumphant return to the WWE after his failure to succeed at the UFC. But do you remember who his first opponent was after his big return? And this was a tricky one, but a lot of people have forgotten that Eugene was Kurt Angle's last SummerSlam opponent. Congratulations to these people for getting this week's trivia question correctly. And if you too want to be featured on this list, give me the correct answer for this week's trivia in either the comments below, Instagram, or Twitter. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, hit the notification button so you don't miss any of the videos, and remember, I will be going to SummerSlam and I will be conducting some interviews with my buddy, so you don't want to miss that. Like always, Kayfabe Jobber, out.